Okay, listen to this Buzz Lightyear toy and tell me what you hear wrong.
I am Buzz Lightyear to infinity and beyond.
It has a deep voice at times, which is strange enough, but the real problem is that
his AAA batteries died, people.
Ironically, a toy that's based on a movie about toys coming to life appears to have actually come to life itself. The longer he records, the more twisted and deranged the toy becomes.
To infinity and beyond.
Oh God.
The collectible toy belongs to a YouTuber named Joe Bean Videos, and I have little reason to doubt what he says. With that said, Joe Bean Videos doesn't actually show us that the AAA batteries are not working. He could have put them in another device to demonstrate that they are drained. Also, I once heard that toys can sometimes hold a small charge even after the batteries have died. Since this video goes on for quite some time, however, I doubt this is what is happening here. It's not often you see two trains so close on the same track, occurring near Smith Falls in Ontario, Canada in 1992. The footage shows a passenger train that needed to hit the emergency brakes while en route to Toronto. The passenger train appears to be traveling at a fairly fast speed when a stationary freight train comes into view down the track. As the commuter has little time to slow, the engineer stumbles out of the locomotive cab. In the meantime, the freighter backs up slowly while the commuter train has managed to brake hard enough to come to a complete stop right in the nick of time. The approach left no more than 6 feet between the locomotives, a close call that makes little to no sense as to why or how it happened. Would you be able to sleep after seeing this? This video is a re-upload shared by YouTuber Randy Stover. I was unable to track down the original source. At first, the person looks as though they were perhaps jolted awake from a nightmare. Then this happens. Something apparently paranormal is lifting them by their feet from the bed. Is this just some crazy abnormal gravitational pull? Or has something demonic entered the scene? I think this is a true case of paranormal activity. Fishing line would tear painfully into the ankles, so I don't see any other explanation for this one. It's not unusual to try and make out figures in the clouds, but what happens when the figures are not just your imagination? This dark diamond-shaped figure floating over a body of water and below a curtain of clouds is not something your imagination conjured up. What do you see? Well, some in the comments of the video believe it's a star destroyer, a tear in the space-time continuum, or the monarch in the cocoon from Venture Brothers. Others take a more practical approach. It's called a water spout, Fisticuffs writes, and after reading up on the characteristics of a water spout, I must say I have to agree. Otherwise known as a non-supercell tornado, the funnel-like vortex occurring above a body of water in tropical or subtropical regions is often connected to clouds overhead. So as ominous as this figure may appear, it could be naturally occurring. Still, nevertheless, it will make you question everything. A CCTV gym camera captures this slow-moving white object at 6 in the morning. The strange shape appears to float in midair and even slightly changes form at times. Paranormal or not, experts have been ultimately unable to determine the source of this fluttering figure. I guess it might be a piece of lint or something that got stuck on the lens of the camera, but the way it slowly sways without going anywhere makes me think that this really could be a classic haunting. Two friends are playing around with a camera in an old basement. I won't even tell you what to look for. Just watch and see if you can find anything out of the ordinary.
Falls down as I go, okay. Now we're gonna do some weightlifting.
Here it is again if you missed it. Let me know if you saw this supposed shadow person on the first try. I will admit that you have really good eyes if you did. If this video is real and not just someone who is dressed up, then this is definitely one of those videos that makes you wonder what other possibly paranormal events have gone on right in front of you without noticing. This ghost sighting in Saudi Arabia has people praying for his safety in the comments while alone in his room. A YouTuber named Ramadella Rosa captures a ghost in the reflection of a picture on the wall. If you look closely, you'll see it appears to be wearing a hood, and the lower jaw is moving like it has something to say. Ghost or not, there's definitely some kind of bizarre movement going on here. I don't think it's anything he's doing because he's sitting on the floor and the angles don't match up. So with that in mind, what is it? Here's another strange basement video that doesn't seem to have any good explanation besides the paranormal. A YouTuber named David's Ghost Cams has recently installed a brand new smoke and carbon monoxide detector that seems to be acting quite strangely. First of all, it only goes off when he is downstairs. Second, it tells him that the carbon monoxide levels are at 0%, which means it shouldn't be going off at all. Finally, it tells him to get out of his home.
Okay, so we're gonna go downstairs, and I'm going to show you what happened the other night.
Look what happens as soon as he steps foot in the basement. Keep in mind that this alarm has not gone off since the last time he went downstairs. There's obviously no smoke to speak of. This, combined with other weird happenings, has David convinced that his basement is quite haunted. David explains that he once had a house guest who stayed in the basement over 3 months before taking his life. Everyone was surprised. Ever since then, David has noticed things in the house moving around by themselves, strange noises, and most recently, the faulty smoke alarm. Even stranger is that how, as soon as David starts talking about the smoke alarm again, it goes off on its own for a second time. The only explanation I have for this video is that somehow David is manually testing the smoke detector himself and blaming it on a ghost as a prank. However, all of the smoke detectors I've ever seen requires you to physically press a button. This one really does seem to be going off all by itself. This brings me to an interesting point. If David's house guest was a friend, then why would he be telling him to leave his home? Perhaps there is some sort of danger. Perhaps he is trying to warn David of a gas leak or an impending fire. I guess only time will tell. Timothy Bartlett is exploring a water park that's haunted by a former guest named Billy.
Hi, is anybody here? Hi, Billy. I'm here.
Things are about to get real creepy real fast. Watch.
Could you move something again for me? Oh. Holy sh**.
A chair moves on its own accord upon Timothy's request for Billy the Ghost to move an object and prove himself to be real. Paranormal activity is possible, but the low quality resolution could easily hide a string if there was one. This was not done on purpose as the resolution is average quality for a 2012 phone camera video, so maybe it's real. Everyone knows you must drive defensively when you're on a motorcycle. After all, there's nothing between you and the pavement, except whatever you're wearing, and a helmet. But sometimes, no matter how defensively you drive, you learn how little others value your life. Delta 394 learned that in July of 2017, when he published a video of his encounter with a crazy driver. In the video description, he explained, "Guy in the blue Fiat Panda tries running into me while cutting across lanes. I wasn't having any of it, decided I would confront him in the supermarket car park, and he did confront the man, all of which was caught on camera."
Do you know how to use lanes, you prick?
It's not you. You smashed my bloody thing. Why don't you see where you're going?
Why don't you go in the right lane? I'm on the left.
In the right place.
The man claims the biker smashed his mirror, while the biker claims he almost ran him over. As it turns out, the Fiat driver didn't like how the biker was driving, frequently slowing down and speeding up again. The biker then questioned what was more important, the man's mirror or his life. Most in the comments section seem to agree that the Fiat man deserved every bit of that confrontation. Who is in the wrong here? What do you think? YouTuber named Dare to Be Crimson Lace was at Disneyland during the summer of 2015 when she says this strange black floating ring suddenly materialized over Tomorrowland at around 10 at night.
Mommy, I don't like this.
The giant asymmetrical circle silently hovers over the park. As this YouTuber and her family discuss what to do next, they consider asking a park employee what the ring is, but none of them can look away from the mesmerizing disc in the sky long enough to ask. Many other visitors recorded the exact same ring and uploaded it, so it definitely happened. I researched this story and could find no official response from Disney. Some people have claimed that this was a smoke ring caused by a fireworks demonstration, but many UFO believers say that this is just a cover-up story for something bigger. Let me know if you've seen a similar ring created from fireworks, or if you think it could be something a lot more bizarre than that. An adventurer from India goes exploring an abandoned house to see if it's really as haunted as they say. Within less than 2 minutes of entering the forsaken building, the explorer has his answer.
करके तो उसी जगह पर ये
A heavy negative energy looms in the air. All the rooms look the same, even the last one, except it has something extra waiting inside.
वो देखिए वो क्या चीज़ खड़ी है
A figure stands in the corner, and at 4 minutes and 25 seconds, a volley of ghost orbs seem to rush out of its silhouette frame upon being found. Orbs continue to dance all around as the figure inches towards with its head down. They continue for half a minute and only stop when the figure crosses into the next room. At no other point in the video do so many of these appear, only here when its presence is nearby. When he looks into the next room, the orbs have stopped and the figure is gone. The encounter is over, and he is left wondering the meaning of what he just saw. A YouTuber named Wet Tent takes a friend and goes exploring a tunnel. They find creepy but aren't sure if it's haunted. There are 2 entrances, so Wet Tent goes down one and his friend goes down the other.
Hey!
He finds his friend face down and not responsive, and the video suddenly cuts out, which is what somebody would probably do if this were real. According to Wet Tent, his friend eventually regained consciousness and had no recollection of what made him pass out. It might have been the air quality, but I don't think so because Wet Tent didn't pass out. Whatever it was, it made him go down with a scream. Here it is one more time. Let me know if you think that was a real scream caught on tape because I'm not sure. If you have a basement in your home, you might want to skip this creepy clip posted to TikTok by Dino Nuggets 741. Something sinister is lurking in this dude's basement. At the beginning of the video, the guy lights something wrapped in his hand, which I assume is sage. Apparently, he already knows that there's an entity inside his home. Some banging is heard coming from the basement.
I know what. I'm not afraid, man.
He addresses whatever it is creeping down there and, holding his sage in front of him, opens the door to the stairwell. When he turns on the basement light, the figure steps out of view. The man then heads down to the basement and turns a corner to the large empty room, but nothing is there. You expect the hooded figure to pop out around every corner, but don't worry, there's no jump scare. You might want to worry about this though. When the man scans the room but finds nothing, you hear a strange laugh or cry coming from upstairs. It's not clear if someone else was home with the man at the time, or if that cry came from this creature. Who has somehow managed to maneuver around him, sight unseen, and dive upstairs, but any questions about that are answered when the man rushes back to the stairwell, only to have the upstairs door slammed in his face. Did this demon just trick him into giving up his turf? Looks like the tables have turned. Do you want to play? Published by King Crimson in January of 2013. This is just one of many experiences of paranormal activity in this house. The YouTuber says that he left his camera in the kitchen to try and capture more of the activity going on in his home, and this is what it caught. The footage shows a child playing with alphabet refrigerator magnets that are randomly arranged on the fridge. As the child moves them around, suddenly the grouped magnets scatter, some of them appearing to fall right off the fridge. The child doesn't know what happened. He runs into the next room, presumably to get an adult. The YouTuber writes, "I don't know what to believe anymore. This is really starting to freak me out. The only way this would be freakier is if the magnet spelt out 666. Did YouTuber Axis2527 just experience genuine poltergeist activity? This is what he captured while home alone."
Okay, this is Julian documenting something that's happened today. I've just came downstairs from studying and drawing all day. No one else has been home, and I just decided to go down and play Zelda in my basement because that's where my Wii is.
After heading downstairs, he sees this. Watch the stool.
Oh my. That chair just moved. I'm documenting this.
He rushes upstairs, and that's when he's shut in.
I just know I'm going upstairs.
He approaches the doorway and finds nothing there, but something is listening to him.
If there's anything here, I just command you to shut the door.
A moment later, this happens.
Oh my. Let me out.
That's the end, and I believe he's been stuck in this liminal space for the last decade. Paris might be considered to be the fashion capital of the world, but it also has a much darker claim to fame, a series of underground tunnels extending for miles where over 6 million people have been buried. As if that isn't enough, one day a videotape was recovered from the depths of the catacombs that still has never been explained. The VHS footage was taken by a single brave person as they explored the twisting paths of the catacombs, miles and miles below the city. The lone traveler journeys as far down as he can stand, which was further than most would consider to have been safe. He often stops to curiously handle and examine ancient bones along the way. He's poking around one forgotten pathway that's about 6 miles under the city when he suddenly stops and grows very tense. His breathing becomes heavy as he begins to frantically search for a way out. The beginning of the video shows him acting calm and collected, but now he is sprinting through the catacombs in a panic, only slowing down to briefly decide on which path to take next. The more you watch, the more it feels like he is being chased by something off camera. Finally, he pauses for just 1 second, and then this happens. No one knows what could have caused him to drop his camera and run like that, but it couldn't have been anything good. His identity has never been revealed, and his body has never been found. With this in mind, it is quite possible that on one night he became the newest addition to the catacombs. Well, light can certainly play tricks on us, and on a camera, things can get creepy. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit. Garno7 explains that he and some friends were hanging around their campfire near a lake, and one of them captured this on his phone. The clip shows a figure appearing to run from their group of people into the roaring flames. Watch as the camera pans from left to right. Can you see it? While many in the comments say the figure is nothing but a lens flare. A couple Redditors counter that argument. Redditor Patrick RS Ghost writes, "At first I thought it was some flare or something due to the transition from dark to light very quickly, but when I looked closer I could see something start to move within the crowd at around the 2-second mark, almost to the left of the little girl in the pink sweater, right as the camera starts to pan, and upon looking again, I can totally see what this Redditor is talking about. So now I think there's a good chance this could be paranormal, because when you take the time, it seems to sync up." Susan Payton 1 is enjoying some quality time with her family when she and her husband both notice something grab the attention of their infant toddler.
What am I doing?
The child's face changes from amusement to confusion as he apparently turns to watch something pass by. Then, moments later, an orb silently streaks overhead. Even stranger are the song lyrics playing in the background. Something appears to walk past the child and possibly exit the room just as the children's song announces, "Say bye-bye." Are there ghosts all around us? That's what Tesla's tracker technology has me thinking. Posted to TikTok by Piero1519. This Tesla owner entered a cemetery where his vehicle's technology detected life or non-life nearby. A figure can be seen appearing digitally on the car's screen, clearly ahead into the far right of the car.
And look at this. And nobody's there. The cemetery. Wow. Wow.
So it shows it like a
Flashing his camera to the location indicated, Piero shows that there's no one there at all. All that's there are a couple of gravestones and an otherwise empty graveyard. Some in the comments are saying that the Tesla assumes the tombstone is a person, since it doesn't have a tombstone detection feature. But wouldn't the Tesla then detect people in anything human shaped that its technology hasn't been taught to identify? That would just be weird. TikToker Namaste says, "Ghost detection is an added feature of Tesla," but Leah Jordan takes a turn writing, "It's all fun and games till it gets in the car with you. Let's hope that ghostly terror remained in its eternal bed." While most of the scary clips from the woods could potentially be wild animals, this one's a head scratcher. Published to YouTube by Ian Black in September of 2020. This isn't the shriek of a mountain lion or some other wild cat. This is next level terrifying. The roar echoes through the calm woods as though you're at the bottom of a well. While at first it may sound puzzling, the mystery is solved when the cameraman tells his dog, "We've missed the train."
We missed the train, Mo.
But without such context, what would you feel if you were blasted with this off-putting roar during your nature walk? I guess lesson learned, stay away from the tracks. This one's a head scratcher. TikToker elkakoi.tv shares this mysterious video that's a total nightmare. Watch around the side of the door.
Is that? What the was that?
At first, it looks to me like a ghost peeking out sideways at the guy, but TikTokers are floating other theories as to what the heck that was.
Bro, what was that?
Well, I think Cap like Caleb could be right that it was this mirror. It's the reflection in the mirror that's throwing people off. That could be anything, but to me it looks like someone covering their abnormally large face with their hands. What do you think it is? This YouTube channel is just a random string of letters and numbers that may or may not spell out some sort of hidden message. There's one video that's especially strange. Someone is furiously pedaling around a neighbor while panting. Apparently lost and possibly being pursued. The next video is of someone watching two other people from afar and from behind some shrubbery. I'm not sure if this video is real or not, because they would obviously be able to see this person from this angle in my opinion, but maybe they were just ignoring him or truly didn't notice. If the person filming here is the same person that was on the bike, then I think they may have serious problems. After not posting for over 7 years, the channel started uploading content again a month ago. Maybe now there will be more clues revealing the mystery behind these videos. This toy is supposed to sing the alphabet, but according to the description, it startles children with a deep voice instead. Even if this is happening just because the batteries are low, what's especially weird is the timing. This toy always seems to malfunction just before the last letter of the alphabet. Listen to this part and tell me if you hear a deep voice saying something like, "Hey." You can expect to see a lot of new scary doll videos on TikTok because the reality ripple has made it easy to separate the haunted dolls from normal ones.
So y'all, today I decided to go into a thrift store to see if any of their was haunted, and check this out. Oh no.
This doll looks no different than the 8 other dolls around it, and yet it glows with a faint orange hue to indicate that it's cursed. If the reality ripple was simply a face scanning filter, then I see at least 2 other dolls that should have set it off. Instead, this filter must be tracking something else, perhaps an electromagnetic energy of some kind. A YouTuber named Mr. Technical Difficult and his friends are hanging out by a river. When they see an old abandoned cooler on the other side, they don't pay much attention to it at first, but after a while they grow curious as to what could possibly be inside. Finally, they can't take the suspense anymore and decide to retrieve the floating container. What they find inside is troubling.
Open the hatch.
They remove an excessive amount of masking tape and pop the lid only to see a black-eyed doll peering back at them. The creepy doll is dressed in red suspenders and its head is turned directly towards the camera. No one knows what to make of this unsettling discovery, and they all stand around for a bit laughing nervously. To this day, the group has absolutely no explanation as to how or why this doll was sealed and sent down the river, or more importantly, who is responsible for this strange message. What would you do if you saw this floating over your neighborhood? Shared by YouTuber EXTV, this video is trending in the Brazilian-speaking YouTube community. It looks like a scene straight out of Netflix's Stranger Things. In fact, it is. But it's not what it seems. When I dug into its origins, I found the freaky floating figure featured on CBS Chicago's news channel. But how did they get her to float? The TikToker @HorrorProps, who's responsible for the epic Halloween display, just shared how they did it only days ago. It appears to be a wire connected to a telephone pole. Well, I gotta say, that is certainly a crafty way to pull off something like this. Nevertheless, if I saw this while walking down the street, I would still be terrified. The historic Jefferson Hotel is a hotbed for paranormal activity, and this is one of the creepiest pieces of evidence yet. Published by the hotel in March of 2021, a security camera captured this incident in one of the hotel's hallways. In the clip, a guest of the hotel is seen looking for her husband. She asks a couple walking by if they've seen him. As they're talking, a deep guttural growl is heard. They all hear it and jump back. You can see their reaction here.
All jumped back as if something was like yelling at them down the hall. You could see they were all scared.
The couple walks away, while the first guest is left alone with whatever made this noise. The hotel's caretaker says that the male guest seen in this video asked him where the speaker was. The man thought the hotel was in the business of ambiance, so had hidden speakers in the floor to add to the haunting atmosphere. The problem is that he was wrong. After being asked this, the caretaker, knowing there weren't any speakers, pulled up video from a second camera at the end of the hallway in the direction of the growl. This is what he found.
So, did you hear that growl?
The growl sounds very animalistic, almost demonic. Is this one of the many demons that haunt the halls of the Jefferson? Or is someone playing tricks?
It's creeping me out. I lived here for going on 7 years. And walked 100 miles through these woods. Never seen that shape before right there.
That's the reaction of James Jones after finding a strange human silhouette standing motionless in the Tennessee forest. What's especially perplexing is how James should be close enough to see the person's facial features, yet their entire visage is shrouded in darkness.
It's not a broken tree or whatever. I don't know. It looks like it's connected right there, but it's not. I've been over there 1,000 times.
Even if this was a tree, there's not much of a reason for it to be completely dark instead of the same color as every other tree around. It almost looks like the figure is wearing a colonial-style hat. Maybe it's the spirit of a soldier from the Revolutionary War, or maybe they were a soldier in the Civil War. Let me know what you think it was, and if you think James was in any trouble on that day. This group of friends decides to go into an old middle school that's rumored to be haunted. The building has only recently been abandoned, and it's still in relatively good condition, so there's not much to say until they come to one section of the school that's much darker and filled with mold. The group still feels safe in their large numbers down here, and they bravely trudge through a series of musty hallways. They don't see anything out of the ordinary, but when they put the video on YouTube later, somebody points out a possible shadow figure in the distance during this part in particular. I personally think that it could just be stacked debris, but then again, I can somewhat make out the faint outline of a shadow that's roughly the size of a child. The more I look at it, the more I can notice its legs and head in particular. Let me know if you agree, or if you think I'm looking into the situation too deeply. What would you do if you ran into a massive python in the paranormal all in one night? Published to YouTube in June of 2020 by Catacomb Fishing. That's exactly what happened to this explorer as he trapezed through the ramshackle underground city. In fact, Zach seems to have gone here specifically to look for snakes. The abandoned place is, in and of itself, creepy enough. He keeps shouting hello as he begins his journey, and his echo rings eerily throughout the enormous space. The dark, damp place seems like the perfect breeding ground for snakes. At one point, around 4 minutes and 15 seconds, Zach appears to capture the beam of a flashlight bouncing off a distant wall. He also hears voices. He may not be alone down here. He rushes over to see who else is there, but he says the voices have stopped. Then he hears the haunted voices again. It's more like a moaning, which is made even more terrifying by the echo. Then at 5 minutes and 53 seconds, Zach abruptly turns to a doorway, seeming to sense something there, and it appears that something is there. If you watch in slow-mo, an obscure figure is standing in the darkness of the opposite room. Although he got the heck out of there, Zach's night didn't end there. As he's driving home, he crosses paths with what he'd been looking for all along, a snake. Zach chases down an enormous python. He manages to grab it by the tail while the snake tries to bury its head in the sand. He grips the snake near its head and shows the audience its fangs as the python starts to wrap its thick body around his arm. I think this is exactly why you should never grab a python. Zach tries to release the snake into a bag and does manage to collect him and zip him inside without getting tagged. Between encountering what may have been the paranormal in the underground city and prying this python from his arm, one thing's for sure, this dude has nerves of steel. The David Oman house is a supposedly haunted home in Beverly Hills that's not too far from where the Manson cult claimed the life of celebrity Sharon Tate. A team of paranormal investigators are busy taking pictures of a dark room at night with an infrared camera to detect heat signatures. Suddenly, the floorboards creak nearby as if someone is near, and this message is broadcast on their equipment. The team bravely decides to stay put instead of taking its advice. Not too long after, they develop this haunting photograph while snapping pictures in the dark. This heat signature undoubtedly looks like the outline of a human. While this photo could be doctored or simply staged, it could also be another piece of evidence that the David Oman house is anything but safe or normal. Who knows what would have happened if they had stayed there much longer. A YouTuber named Danny's World records scary noises in the woods at night. A fierce 5-minute struggle between two animals outside of his house.
This way.
I'm not sure if this is real or not because at no point does he turn his camera light on, which is strange. Maybe he doesn't want to attract the attention of whatever this mysterious creature is. He's talking about how this sounds like no creature he's ever heard before. In the woods of South Carolina, it sounds to me like this could be a rake sighting, especially at 2 minutes and 48 seconds when it apparently imitates a person whining for help.
There's so much wildlife here in South Carolina. It's hard to tell. This is not it. What the?
Or maybe it's simply editing. A YouTuber named Cup of Mocha is in the middle of making a video when she realizes she is no longer by herself at home.
What the This door is not supposed to be open.
The video goes from light and playful to an emergency situation after she sees the busted basement door. I personally would have called the police at this point, but Cup of Mocha decides to stay. Watch this part and tell me if you think she should have ran upstairs or kept recording.
I'm just gonna film this just in case like the police find it or something. But that's what the heck is going on?
She goes from room to room half expecting to get jumped by some crazed intruder at any moment. She eventually tiptoes into a large laundry room with many hiding spots. It looks all clear until this happens next.
There's literally no one here. Oh my!
According to Cup of Mocha, someone bumps her from behind and she drops her camera as they run away. I wasn't sure if this was real or not, but over 1 year later, she still appears to be having problems with this obsessed fan.
Oh my god, Monique, we need to go. Come here.
She sounds really scared here. But I would like to know if you think she is truly in danger or just making a fictional series. In this scary video, Exploring with Josh explores the historic RRS Discovery, one of the most haunted ships in Britain. The team invites the spirits to speak, and they do in their own way.
You can talk to us here now.
That is creepy.
I swear to God, there's someone walking around in there. I just saw a shadow. Bro,
Are you serious?
bro, put the light on it.
Well, that is the
No,
most
put the light on it.
Well, that is the most
Something
haunted room.
inside there, I'm telling you now. Oh my.
You saw it?
Yeah, I saw a shadow playing there.
I believe you, bro.
They continue to communicate with this spirit.
With that device, could you please walk out of your room so we know you're gone? Oh my God! Oh my God!
That's
Oh my God!
You can't that up.
When they go and collect a recording device from that room, they hear the spirit's response to some of their questions.
It is the crew. It is the crew. It is the crew. Hang on.
It is the crew.
You can't.
As the presence intensifies, they hear footsteps.
You got it?
And now, yeah. And that was after I heard the bed moving, bro. I'm telling you, there's somebody in this room with me.
Right, we're coming back towards your room, Captain. Can you set something off while we're sort of stood together?
No, it's not me. I'm right here.
Where did it come from? I have no idea. I don't know. It's like a dash run. That went through there.
Was that the captain again? With all of this paranormal evidence, I have to believe that the RRS Discovery still carries an immortal crew, but they are probably as cold as Antarctica. Jelly Spotters is making a YouTube video with a homemade Ouija board. They barely get out a few questions before one of the candles starts to do something really weird.
W-R-T. What? You see that candle? Okay.
Jelly Spotters is not standing near any fans and all of the windows are closed. Plus, if it was the wind, then the other candles should go out as well. After a while, it becomes apparent that the spirit is using the candle to answer them instead of the board.
Do you want us to goodbye? Do you want us to leave? Can we please say goodbye? Yes? Alright, let's go.
A YouTuber named Shabir1000 caught a scary moment on camera that simply should not have happened, and then another scary moment during his live stream while trying to explain it. So he's telling us a story about something that happened to him late at night.
And a little story on that is, you know, I don't smoke in the garage.
The door nudges open with a gentle click. He almost notices it, but is too involved in his story to really understand that the door, which was all the way shut, is now open a crack.
And the other night, when I was watching, I caught something on camera too that I'm going to put in here for you. And then I'll narrate through the camera itself when I show that footage. But
ironically, the more Shabir1000 talks about what he saw on his CCTV system late at night, a sighting that he thinks could have been paranormal, mind you, the wider the door opens. His head is blocking the doorway, so it's hard to tell if a figure was standing there, but something is opening the door, and ghost or no ghost, it definitely was not him. He claims to have been alone the entire time, so I wanted to know if you believe him, since almost all of his videos are about non-paranormal topics like do-it-yourself projects and flea market finds. I think this video is probably real. Oh, and if you're wondering about what he caught on CCTV late at night, here's the video and it's pretty creepy. What he thinks is a ghost orb floats clear across the screen, performs a lazy loop and then disappears. He doesn't think this is a bug because it materializes out of thin air, and if you look closely you can see other bugs fly by that look nothing like this orb, like here at 2 minutes for instance. That's a bug, and this is something else. Anyway, he wasn't reading the chat at the time, and so he freaks out when they later tell him that a ghost opened his door. He tries to recreate it, and as part of this video shows, there really is no way to open the door without first turning the knob. And even though the door is made of lightweight material, it doesn't open any wider on its own. He steps on the other side of the door, where someone would have been standing, and tries to push it open without turning the knob. No luck. And when he opens the door, it stays in the same position.
Weird.
Weird indeed. And unless someone has a better explanation, it's probably paranormal. A YouTuber named Godiva calls this a bizarre sighting caught on camera, and he's definitely right. The slow-moving shadow figure grows larger as it extends over this house. It's all caught on their home CCTV system, and it's a creepy moment for sure, but tell me if it's a formless shadow person or some sort of insect. A YouTuber named RJ32 is at the beach in Southern California when one of his kids sees a fast-moving round creature in the clear water. Watch this part and give me your best guess as to what this could be. And don't worry if you can't tell yet, because you and he are about to get a much closer look. RJ32 curiously walks over to where he last saw what he thinks was a flounder and starts kicking around. Panic sets in as he realizes he's uncovered a stingray that was trying its best to hide from him in the sand. I don't think the stingray is full grown, but take a closer look and tell me if I'm wrong. Mature or not, the tail seems like just the right size to go through your foot if you aren't careful. RJ32 gets a quick warning jab and is sent limping to the beach. If this is what a baby can do, I wouldn't like to see the work of an adult. Two friends are wandering across a field to check out an old abandoned house that they are both excited about. I'm not sure, but I think they found this house at night and wanted to come back during the day. Anyway, they find that the house is mostly intact aside from a collapsing roof and decaying debris everywhere. They are just having a casual conversation when suddenly their camera chances upon something totally out of the ordinary.
Glass. The oven. The oven door.
Where?
In the middle of the living room.
The roof is off. Holy sh! Dude! Oh my! Go!
A completely black figure glides across the doorway from above. What's especially strange is that every square inch of this figure is pitch black even though they are in a room lit by sunlight. It is turned to the side with its head down, but absolutely no facial features are visible. The two friends both turn and run away from the shadowy inhabitant at full speed. I guess they could have a third person with them and just be playing a prank, but their reaction seems a little too genuine for me to think that it is fake. Similarly, if this was just a homeless person upstairs, then they probably would have shouted something like "get out" instead of silently walking across the doorway. Many people think that this is a shadow person, and I think that's a definite possibility. When a YouTuber named Noah Faddis learns that an old section of his school is haunted, he and his friends grab a camera and check it out. They are making a parody of shows like Ghost Hunters when suddenly their skit is interrupted by running footsteps and knocking on the walls. Noah sprints off to investigate while his friends hang back. Loud noises fill the hallway from all directions, and then everything gets way too quiet. The two remaining friends strain their eyes and hear Noah's twisted voice calling out for them.
Okay, we're done. No, let's go.
Soon Noah comes around the corner looking vicious and ready for a confrontation. Either this entire video is just a school project, or whatever is down here seems to have claimed Noah for themselves, and I doubt they are giving him back anytime soon. A YouTuber named Spectral Wolfpack Paranormal is checking out an abandoned house in Tennessee that's covered in occult graffiti. It's an unsettling sight for sure. But there's an audio portion of this video that has people talking. No less than 5 people thought they heard something during this part. Let me know if you hear it.
The entrance to hell. To hell.
As soon as he says that this is the entrance to the underworld, some people claim they hear a voice that says stay. I think it sounds like leaves rustling under his shoe as he takes a step back, but let me know if you heard the noise and what you think it was.
The entrance to hell. The entrance to hell.
This New Orleans restaurant called Tableau's is thought to be haunted by a ghost who will punish you for what it perceives as any bad beverage selections. Here a waiter is preparing the room for a private party and has finished stocking the refreshments when, coincidentally, the bottles all fly off the shelf and land in the exact area he had just finished sweeping. 3 separate comments in this video further verify that this restaurant is quite haunted. One person said the window in this very same room unlatched itself, another said the fire alarm went off on its own, and a third person said they are never going there again because the spirit was staring at them. These comments, combined with this video evidence, is enough to build a strong case for the paranormal in my opinion, but let me know what you think. A YouTuber who goes by the one and only Spud Bud has been hearing scary noises outside of his house every night, strange and mysterious sounds coming from the sky. It always seems to happen between 4 and 5 in the morning when it's still dark outside. Listen to this and tell me what you would do if you were woken up by this noise. It's hard to tell if the sky sounds are coming from an animal or a machine, or perhaps even some living mixture of both. Whatever it is, it sounds tremendously large and about to crush his house. On Thursday, after 4 days of scary noises, the one and only Spud records the creepiest video of all. This is when it sounds less mechanical and more like a creature, but tell me what you think it is. A low rumble pierces the sky with enough force to make the floorboards of his house creak. One thing that makes me think this is real is how he never leaves his home to go outside. Instead, he paces around his house nervously hoping that the sound will go away. And it looks like a realistic reaction. Well, most people believe this is real. One person said they analyzed the clip and found it was edited. They said they would link the sound file but never did, so their claims have not been supported. Let me know if you have ever heard this noise from any movies or other popular media. Maybe together we can figure this one out. A YouTuber named The Bearded Biologist created a wildlife channel to help people become more appreciative of nature and not be frightened. Let's see how he himself keeps from getting scared when having an encounter that would frighten 99% of most people, no matter how brave they think they are. Barely visible to the untrained eye and easily mistaken as a piece of driftwood is something that would have people screaming and freaking out, but not him. The biologist spots it and wisely turns the other way at 6 seconds. The curious snake makes no similar efforts to avoid him. The biologist seems to keep it distanced and distracted by his paddle, but it's not over yet. The fearless snake follows him for another 10 seconds and then lets him go. I, like you, most likely thought this was definitely a chase, but he says this was not a chase so much as curiosity on the snake's behalf. What he means by this is that it could be much faster and easily catch up to him if it wanted to. He's just being politely escorted out of its territory, which is a characteristic of the cottonmouth snake, aka the water moccasin. Some people say this is a harmless water snake, but he says it's not, and I can back him up on that one. Not that he needs my help because he already has 2 degrees in this field. This write-up from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department says water moccasins are the only snakes that float with their head above the water. They are also venomous and are responsible for 7% of all snake bites in Texas every year. So even though I applaud the bearded biologist and applaud him for trying to make me less afraid of nature, I ended up doing research because of him and freaking myself out twice as bad. Knowing that this venomous snake is showing him mercy, to me is just another way of saying he's at the mercy of a big snake. Sometimes the more you know, the more terrifying things get. This underwater video was shot aboard the EV Nautilus, a famous research vessel owned by the same person who found the sunken Titanic. Little does the crew know they are moments away from yet another mystifying discovery, this time in the Gulf Coast of Mexico. Off in the distance, they spy a giant creature coming at them fast. You can hear both surprise and fear in their voice as they order the captain to retreat.
What?
Or it could be fishing line. You don't want that.
Back up.
Huge siphonophore.
It could be.
What looks like a long floating rope of intestine is actually a creature known only as a siphonophore. I'm not sure if it is being carried by the currents or moving on its own, but at one point it does come close to the team and almost seems to demonstrate a limited degree of curiosity as it hovers nearby. If you think this particular specimen is large, they can actually grow to be hundreds of feet long. Siphonophores are carnivores, but thankfully for us humans, this one seems to prefer the bottom of the ocean floor, far away from where we tend to swim. Did you know that man has explored more of Mars and the moon than we've explored the depths of our own oceans, which leads us to some of the strangest oddities on Earth, including this one, the giant's pyrosome, looking like a large transparent tube slide. A giant's pyrosome is comprised of thousands of identical clones of zooids that form an up to 60-foot hollow cylinder that can be wide enough for a grown man to fit inside. The free-floating tube appears like a ghostly discarded piece of see-through fabric known as sea pickles. Giant pyrosomes are bioluminescent, which means you can see them glowing blue-green in the sea at night. Published to YouTube by Ross Overstreet in June of 2018 and supplemented by footage from Luis Bringas in December of 2014. This giant pyrosome off the southern coast of San Clemente Island will send you off the deep end. These videos show the creature in action, or rather inaction, as it floats unobtrusively near the seafloor. What would you do if you crossed paths with this oceanic nightmare? Would you be brave enough to swim through? And more importantly, would you make it to the other side? Following was submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Urban Ghost Hunters 901 while filming B-roll in an abandoned church for a future overnight investigation. He caught something frightening on camera. One camera was in a fixed place, capturing a steady shot of a book set on a railing, surrounded by lit candles, while the cameraman was behind the other camera, filming the rest of the room. You can hear the book hit the ground loudly in both shots, while the Steadicam captures its fall. Nothing visible pushed the book or caused it to fall to the floor. In the comments, Urban explains in more detail what happened. I was going to do a pan-up shot from the back of the church, and as I started to pan up, my camera blurred, as if it were trying to focus. Not saying it's paranormal because it was in low light, but as it blurred, and I was looking through the LCD display, I saw something fly right in front of me. Seems like something paranormal had arrived. When you play with the paranormal, you're bound to get burned. Think it's probably time to get out of there. A YouTuber named Exploring with Perks is checking out an old abandoned home with one of the creepiest basements he has ever seen. Possible remains rest outside of an old hole in the wall, with the rest of the body possibly on the other side. And later on, he finds the remnants of what I hope is just a stuffed animal. Then he gets out fast. I can't say I blame him. Poltergeist. Their haunted home had been quiet for weeks. But then the YouTube team G&D Studios took out the Halloween-themed houses called Spooky Town. Once they'd been unpacked, the poltergeist activity in their home ramped up. that literally jumped out of her hand, and it does it again. Did it slip? Or is something fishy going on here? After that, she gives up. In another clip, the poltergeist becomes even more aggressive. A few minutes later, this happens. And then, even stranger, what's going on here? It looks 100% paranormal to me, and the first step to calming it is to pack up that Halloween spooky town and light it on fire. Number 20. If you're looking for a haunted location, your best bet is to choose somewhere with a scary history. Steve Ronan, an American urban explorer, traveled to the United Kingdom to investigate a Victorian-style mansion believed to be the site of a gruesome taking of life. Despite its longevity, the event took place in 2006 when then homeowner Christopher Lumsden ended his wife's life in a jealous rage. She had allegedly just returned from dinner with her lover when the incident occurred. Despite the viciousness of the event, Lumsden only served 5.5 years when he was released on license, the British legal system's equivalent of parole. Intrigued by the story, Ronan decided to investigate at the home in order to see if he could come up with answers. Upon arrival, the front of the house is littered with large trash, including several beds, some broken walls, and what appears to be clothing. At the time the video was filmed, renovations were ongoing to prepare the house to be put up for sale. It is unknown if the trash was from the house itself or was left there randomly, but it would be strange if so many pieces of clothing were left behind. The first bit of the video is Ronan and his team exploring the house, finding it in a state of disrepair. At one point, they find a strange piece of wallpaper on the floor. The same system is seen covering the walls of a room. Written on it are various strange phases, including Carpe Diem Dungeons Fire, Jungle Truth or Dare Power. What this means is a mystery, and it's a strange design to have as a wallpaper. Things quickly take a turn for the creepy when they find a red stain on the floor of one of the rooms in front of a dresser. On closer inspection, it is a sizable red blot stained into the floorboard that was once beneath the now torn up carpet. It definitely is believable that it's what we're all thinking, since the coloration does resemble when such a stain has aged over time. One of the crew decides to shine a UV light on the spot. As he explains, the spot remains visible as a dark purple under the light, instead of blending into the floor. Also, while it is not mentioned, there are spots that weren't visible when the light wasn't on. Going off the find, they decide to begin a spirit box session in the room. The method they use is simple, as they find a radio and rapidly shift through the channels. After a couple of questions and one false alarm, a voice comes through the static saying, "You were tricked."
You were tricked? Did you just hear you were tricked?
This is strange, as immediately before that, they were discussing whether or not they were deceived into believing another house entirely was the location of the gruesome life-taking. At the beginning of the video, they spoke with a security guard of another residence who claimed the occupied house was the actual location of the incident. However, they were not allowed in and went to this house nearby that is also said to be where the incident happened. Could it be possible they are communicating with something who knows they were tricked? The group hears various answers come through the radio, although admittedly it is hard to hear whether it is actually something answering them or simply words from the radio programs coming through and sounding like answers. Next, the group decides to conduct an EVP session to see if they can hear anything else. During the session, the group hears noises and something like shuffling is picked up on the EVP. At this time, nobody in the room is moving or talking. They also hear something that sounds like chewing or moving their mouth. After asking a question, some sort of faint whisper can be heard right before the next question is asked.
If so, who was the one who murdered you?
Unfortunately, it's too difficult to decipher what, if anything, is being said as it is too quiet. After nothing else seems to come through, finally the group uses an actual spirit box, which automatically and rapidly changes stations so quickly you can't hear what is being said by the program. Ronan asks if anyone can tell what happened and if there was an event of a life being taken. Soon after, a voice comes through with what sounds like yes, immediately followed by what sounds like someone died. Soon, a male voice comes through with what Ronan thinks sounds like "wasn't me." The moment that is guaranteed to send chills down your spine is when a woman, either laughing, crying, or possibly screaming, can be heard. The investigation wraps soon after, and Ronan leaves with what could be considered valuable evidence. The event that occurred in the home has left an imprint, and not just the stain on the floor. Images sometimes crop up on Google Maps Street View that are incredibly suspect. This Google capture is a bit more supernatural. Published to YouTube by The Hidden Underbelly 2.0 in August of 2018. This image was captured at Martha Chapel Cemetery in Huntsville, Texas. As one of the country's oldest cemeteries, Martha Chapel was built in the early 19th century. According to travel guide expert Dana Goolsby, the road leading to the cemetery is nicknamed Demon's Road. It earned this nickname from alleged encounters with the spirits that haunt the area. According to Goolsby, visitors to the cemetery sometimes find large handprints on their vehicles. Is something supernatural making its mark? According to the Houston Chronicle, the Google Maps Street View image was uploaded to YouTube in August of 2018, where it started trending. The image shows headstones near a fence line, surrounded by trees. Behind one of these trees hides a ghostly little girl. The grayish tint of her skin gives her a phantom glow as she peers around the corner of the tree. But wait, that's not the only haunting figure in view. Behind the fence line, walking amongst tall tombstones, is a dark cloaked figure. The phantom being definitely looks out of place. Maybe the cloaked figure is seeking this girl. We hope it doesn't find her. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by BushWookie83, this redditor wrote, "Looks like Mike Myers paying me a visit. WTF is that?" Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about.
Hey man, that was cool. What are you doing? What's going on? You okay? Can I get away? Do you want me to say how you're doing?
There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Duck Consume Bread wrote, Man, I don't know how you could just sit there. I'd already be moved out, lol. Well, Neo1LoneWolf6985 wrote, it looks like the reflection of your flashlight on your phone, reflecting on certain parts of the glass, giving off the illusion of a face actually. Looks like the exact same tattoo I have of Michael Myers on my arm. Which side are you on here? Let me know in the comments. A paranormal explorer from Turkey named Ansari is documenting a haunted tunnel that's too scary for him to get very far.
جوا يا بسم الله شو هاد والله العظيم اطلعوا يا بسم الله.
Behind him, an eerie red ring radiates with an evil force. He knows he has to get out quick or else he will succumb to its terrifying effects, but as he creeps near the entrance, the haunted tunnel takes a final swipe at him.
في صوت حركة بسم الله شو هاد خليني أقرب. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يلي موجود هون. بسم الله. سمعتوه أقسم بالله العظيم في صوت حركة. يا والله العظيم في شيء عم يركض جوا. بسم الله.
Ansari's had enough and decides to block off the tunnel to contain whatever evil is inside, but it seems as though whatever scary thing he's caught on tape has other plans.
إنه هالفكرة هي منيحة. من هون لبكرة أنا بيبين معي إذا رح يا بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أقسم بالله العظيم شفتوا شلون شالت؟
It seems like the rock could have simply fallen over here, but it's very heavy and shouldn't tip over so easily. It's hard to say if it was pushed over by a ghost or simply off balance to begin with, so let me know if you think this video is paranormal or not. As for why only a small portion of the tunnel would be glowing red like that, I have no idea. A student needs to leave during the middle of a hailstorm, so without thinking they grab the first thing they can find, which happens to be an aluminum foil pan, and charge out into the elements. Marissa follows behind another student to see what happens next, but they don't even get around the corner before they find themselves in just as much danger. Lightning strikes close enough to shut the power off and makes some random people inside scream for their lives. Somehow the bolt of lightning misses the student's metal-covered head and they are okay, but still, I bet running out of there made it strike much closer to them than it would have otherwise. Moral of the story? I hope everyone has learned to stay safe in their room anytime it's like this outside. The historic Jefferson has plenty of haunting footage. This clip is one of the most chilling, captured by a guest staying in the doll room. The footage shows one of the room's many dolls coming to life. First, watch behind the pillow.
It just peers out like that for about a minute. That movement though.
Something peers out. It's one of the dolls. A moment later, the doll falls over. This is the doll in question. The staff shares its creepy history.
It does have history to it. Typically, we'll put the doll here just to make it look kind of creepy, but we've had several guests say that the doll's not there, and we'll come and look, and the doll will be behind the chair. One time, that was.
The doll is creepy just looking at it, but this footage on top of its history of innate creepiness ensures that I can't handle staying in the doll room. A YouTuber named Battery Phil is exploring a cave in Jamestown, Arkansas, and taking a random video with a small keychain video camera. His friend once told him that he had seen a reptilian face suddenly appear in front of him while down here before, but Battery Phil doesn't exactly believe him. So imagine his surprise when he looked at this video much later and saw this creature looking straight at him. Look closely and you can make out the semi-intelligent gaze of a humanoid creature with a single brown eye, a flat nose, and a thin expressionless line for a mouth. It's there for only a moment and then gone. Of course, this could also just be a random rock formation that just happens to somewhat look like a face. I will say that the eye looks extremely realistic above all else, however, so I'm just not sure what to think. Many claim to see a hidden monster in this YouTube video from Australia. Look closely and you'll see what appears to be the top half of a tall furry creature standing among the trees. Some people even claim to see a second similar creature in the bottom right-hand corner. Well, I do see what they are talking about. This also looks like it could just be the blackened center of a rotten tree, but I'm just not sure. Let me know what you think this is, and if you believe there is any possibility of this being the legendary Australian Bigfoot. We all know them, the people of Walmart, but it's not every day you run into one who starts screaming in your face. That's what happened to this man who pulled out his phone to record this man's erratic behavior. YouTuber Bake80 described what happened in his own words. Okay, so I wanted people to see how crazy this guy was. Excuse my language, but this guy was staring and following me in Walmart for about 20 minutes. This is when the uploader decided to record the unfolding event. Pretending to be on his phone, he filmed the man for about a full minute. The man was just standing across the way, watching Bake80 just as described. He does appear not to be in his right mind, as he turns to someone who isn't there and starts talking. Then the man walks up to Bakes and gets so close. The YouTuber wrote that his hat touched his face. This was why he told him to back off in harsh terms. He wanted the guy to know he was serious. The man responds to this threat by saying he's got all the cop cars in jail. When Bakes stands his ground, the man just starts screaming, "Don't threaten me," in his face repeatedly.
Don't threaten me!
Walk away.
Don't threaten me! Don't threaten me!
The people behind him stop dead in their tracks. Even this is too much for the people of Walmart. Then the man hurries away, but you can still hear him shouting, "Don't threaten me," in the background. He's captured again on camera, ranting and raving as he wanders through the checkout aisles, attempting to make his way out. A scary stranger encounter certainly, but also pretty bizarre. Will and Weston have been seeing a strange man walking around their house for a few days now, and they are determined to get it on camera so that people will finally believe them. This time when it comes around again, the two split up and start recording.
What was that?
Whoa!
Weston captures the giant dark outline of a man and goes off running to find Will. They both seem more excited than scared, which is strange, but I guess that could be a normal reaction considering they have seen this person for days and have not been harmed. This could definitely be someone messing with them, but there's something about the overall pace of the video that seems real. Here's another picture that Will caught to further verify the story. Whoever it is, hopefully they stay in the woods and comes no closer to their home. TikToker has documented her neighbor harassing her for months. The following clips are evidence of the terrifying stalking, posted to TikTok by Maddie Panic. Maddie writes that she lives alone, and she's reported this neighbor several times. In the first video, you can see her neighbor through her peephole, waiting outside her apartment door. The video shows a man wearing a hooded sweatshirt, getting very close to the door as though he's listening in. The man's mouth is moving, but what he's saying is inaudible. He quietly knocks on the door. After no one answers, the man backs up and waits there. Later, Maddie captures what we can assume is the same man trying her doorknob. You can see the knob shaking, but the door is locked. Maddie looks out the peephole again, and you can only see the top of the man's head, like he's down low, trying to hide from view, or maybe even trying to use tools to get in. You can vaguely hear him say he knows that she's here. Well, this video is scary enough. A second video turns our fear up a notch. The man apparently lives next door to Maddie, and he tried to smash a hole right through her wall. She captures the damage on video and reassures viewers that cops are on the way. Maddie turned this TikTok account into pure documentation of this stalker's behavior. Her latest video shows she is safe and now in a new apartment. Maddie's advice to other individuals who find themselves in a similar situation is to document everything and protect themselves. This was truly one creepy neighbor. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.